Okay, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guest speakers, partners, and participants, good afternoon and a very warm welcome back. It is our great pleasure to welcome you again to the 12th Annual Indonesia Economic Forum, curtain raiser on the Indonesia Open Network, ION. Today's session marks the opening of IEF Talks Panel 3, held under the theme, Innovate to Integrate New Tech for a New Network. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin this session, we are honored to invite our distinguished speaker to deliver the keynote speech. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sony Sudaryana, Director of Digital Ecosystem Development Ministry of Communication and Digital Affairs.
Check. The first thing is about connection. Belum dicolok. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sony Hendra. I represent the Ministry of Communication and Digital. Probably today I want to share what's going on and what we are doing in the Ministry of Digital Affairs, Communication and Digital Affairs. In Indonesia, the first wave of digital economy rewarded speed. We are focused on, the last 10 years focused on speeds. Those who move fast, build platform, capture market, and scale globally for more than a decade. Speed was treated as a virtue in itself, an unquestioned indicator of success. But as the digital economy enters the next phase, speed alone is no longer sufficient. In fact, speed without balance has begun to reveal its costs. Across the world, we see now a familiar pattern, digital growth that delivers efficiency, but concentrate value. Innovation that accelerate, but erode trust. Platform that scale, but leave society feeling fragmented. Regulatory backlash, debates on digital sovereignty, and growing public skepticism toward technology are isolated phenomena. They are symptoms of deeper structural program. The central question of the next digital era is no longer whether the digital economy will grow. It is whether it will grow whole or fracture. So we choose in Indonesia, we choose sequence over speed. So in the next decade, we are focused on balance and sequence. If we see the target of the government, how to achieve the economic growth 8%, basically we want to try to get out from the middle income trap. That's why we need growth 8%. One of the engine, one of the way is to reduce the ICOR, incremental capital output ratio, is how many investment that you need to burn to create 1 unit of economic growth. In Indonesia, the ICOR is relatively high, around 6.5 in conventional. In ICT sector, around 5.3. In digital economy, like startups, 4.3. But if you see startup like Gojek, the ICOR is very efficient, around 2.3. We see how digitalization help to reduce the ICOR in India, in China, and other countries. That's what we see, why we need to digitize the backbone of Indonesia economy, which is the SMEs. This morning, I listened a lot of speech and keynote regarding this, and why we need, why the time is now, because Indonesia right now, in the bonus demographic dividend, 70% in productive age, or I think around 50% under 30 years old. This is very digital savvy population, very young population. And globally, we see Indonesia as a big market for innovation because of the 286 million and 80% of them already connected with the internet. Indonesia digital strategy is guided by a deliberate choice, sequence over shortcut, rather than treating digital transformation as a race to scale platform or chase valuation. Indonesia approach is an architecture built layer by layer with attention to order. This logic is captured in what we call in the 6C framework. Basically, we have a new target in the, this is the potential of Indonesia. As I mentioned before, everyone see the valuation of the digital economy around 117 billion US dollar by Prasasti. Different with the Google around 90 to 100 billion because Google only 6 sector, but the Prasasti count 16 sectors. And then we projected 3 kali lipat, threefold for the next 5 years, around 360 billion in GMV. And then this is our potential, the internet user. And more interesting, the potential of unlock of digital value in the second-tier cities outside Jakarta, Bandung, like Surabaya and other emerging startup hubs. Indonesia also very digital tech savvy. We are number 6 in application download. And because of the young population, 50% under 30 years old. So we are focused on 3 things. We call it in Indonesia, T3. The first is connected, focus on how we build the sustainability connectivity, the healthy industry, because we cannot talk about the whole digital ecosystem, whole about platform or anything that related to technology without the basic utility is a connectivity. And then the second, the second is about the how we tumbuh, is mean grow, how we grow innovation through the connectivity that we build to create value, not as a market, but in a local production. And then the last one, how terjaga or protected and sustainability. This logic is captured what we call, the next is 6C framework. This is the first C is about connectivity. Ensure participation begins with reliable access, utility, not privilege. The second, after the connectivity has been established, it will attract capital that is aligned to build long-term foundation before seeking rapid returns. We divided in the multi-stack capital. The first capital is about the R&D capital. The second is venture and growth capital. And the last one, because we wanted this is to be very inclusive, the last capital is capital how to digitize the SMEs. And then the third is about the competency. Recognize the talents as a sovereignty in the digital age. The talent or the capability not only in the technical skill, but also in the how to use internet properly, how we can create value on top of the connectivity that we have built. That's the competency. And then the next is commerce. Focus on converting adoption into value creation, enabling citizens to become producer rather than just consumer. And then the 5C is about compliance. Embed trust as economic infrastructure. Acknowledge the market without trust grow quickly but rarely endure. And then the last one is a catalyst, how the government not only focus on the supply side, but also create the demand so the innovation or the tech company can grow. This is basically what we call 6C framework in our ministry. This is go with a balance and sequence, not focus on fast growth with all costs, focus on valuation. We're shifting from valuation into impact. So our initiative for the next 5 years, we are planning to build Garuda Spark Innovation Hub, focus on two things: to create 1,000 tech company with the target valuation around $100 million US, and then that the exclusive program, because not everyone is designed to be founders. And then the second is a grassroots program, how we can help digitize the SMEs, the farmers, the real sector through digitalization to help reduce the I-core so we can contribute more to the economic growth. So we're targeting the beneficiary around 4 million people for this. This combination two main program we simulated can contribute around 1.6% to the growth of the GDP. We target in the next 10 years, we're going to build 20 hubs and 500 spokes across the Indonesia, and then focus not only in big cities Indonesia, but also from west to east of part of Indonesia. This is the first 10 cities that we are focusing. We already talked with ION how we can collaborate on scale this initiative nationwide, and how to help more people, especially SMEs in rural area, to onboard, digitize. This is invitation for co-create on open ecosystem. Will not be shaped by government alone, nor by market in isolation. It will be shaped by collaboration. This is not invitation to capture growth, but to help Indonesia shape it in the new way. So we invite you all to Garuda Spark collaboration with Indonesia Open Network, and focus not only valuation, but we can create focus from spark to impact. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sorry, Mr. Sony. May we kindly ask Mr. Sony Sudaryana to remain on stage? Because we will receive a token of appreciation from the Indonesia Economic Forum. We are honored to, Mr. Sachin Vigopalan to kindly present the token appreciation to Mr. Sony Sudaryana. After this, we also invite to come this stage for a group photo, Dr. Rani Bachmore, our moderator panel Nalin Singh, Balaje Raja Raman, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, and Mr. Fanli Tanto. Please to join for a group photo on the stage. We also request all cameramen and photographer to capture this special moment. And Mr. Ranti Sahaim, maybe? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. We kindly ask our distinguished guests. Yeah, we will now proceed. Mrs. Rani, sorry, to stay on the stage to the keynote speech. The stage is yours, Miss.
Hi, everyone. I'm the last keynote between me and a panel, and then freedom and food. So bear with me. I think after an exciting day of so many facts that were shared, I think I'm going to be repeating some of that. But I think we aptly come to the last keynote because I think we need to talk about this topic very urgently and integrated with all the topics we talked about today. So thank you very much for having me here. And what I believe is the single most important determinant of Indonesia's digital future. Not technology, not platforms, not infrastructure, but human capital. Indonesia is building an ambitious digital public infrastructure, but infrastructure alone does not create transformation. People do. Every single stakeholder in this whole chain of ION are those who do the transformation that make happen. So today I will share why human capital is the true backbone of Indonesia's digital economy and how AIDA, ASEAN Youth for Digital Action, through ION Academy, is building the national talent engine to support inclusive digital growth. Systems and infrastructure provide potential. They provide opportunity and leverage. They can facilitate business, but the ceiling of that potential is set by the skills of those using it. But tools are just tools. No matter how many ways we can connect our businesses, success will depend on the people involved, on their competence, their wisdom, and their confidence. Sorry, do I use this? Sorry. Let me see if I can use. Okay, good. Let us begin with the economic reality. You've heard all the data again and again. Indonesia is home to more than 65 million MSMEs. They contribute to 60% of the GDP and absorb more than 97% of total employment. This means MSMEs are not a sector, they are the backbone, as many of you have mentioned. That's a lot of potential. But you know what? It's also a lot of people. However, while MSMEs dominate the economy, many remain informal, under-digitized, and excluded from high-value digital ecosystems. A new platform will not change that on its own, but it will raise the ceiling of what those millions of businesses can achieve. Those millions of people, if they learn how. If Indonesia wants to accelerate growth, formalization and productivity and MSMEs must be digitally empowered. And we talked a lot today about so many of you with the experience of not excluding the learning and the onboarding of those. Not just awareness though, not just knowledge, but deep competence. The kind of competence that brings certainty, that allows for bravery and tenacity, the kind that lasts, and we need that for the sustainability of ION. Indonesia is advancing national digital public infrastructure, as we said, identity systems, payment rails, open networks, and interoperability frameworks. We are building a lot of stuff, a lot of systems, a lot of potential. That is fantastic, of course. We desperately need to build it, but we also need to succeed. But global evidence, World Bank, OECD, and Indonesia's national development roadmaps consistently show one thing. Infrastructure readiness must be matched by human capital readiness. Without talent, platforms remain underutilized, digital systems fail to scale, economic inclusion becomes theoretical. Investment is not leveraged or might be wasted, and our competitiveness can be overtaken by those who know what our people don't. We cannot digitize the economy without digitizing skills. Imagine the wonderful road network where not enough people know how to drive or how to make repairs to their cars or even how to navigate. The reality is, of all the things we talked about today, this is the critical gap. To bridge this gap, we've established EON Academy. This is designed as a national skilling and certification backbone for the Indonesian Open Network. EON Academy creates a level playing field by giving youth, MSMEs, and informal sector participants equal access to skills, credentials, and opportunity, regardless of geography or background. Its purpose is not just training. Trust me, there's a dime a dozen of that around. Its purpose is economic activation. Whilst technical systems build capacity, we build adoption and engagement. Our goal is to drive economic inclusion and job creation through human capital infrastructure. We focus on 4 pillars of the open commerce ecosystem. Number 1, sellers, empowering MSMEs to go live. Second, service partners, creating jobs for agents who supply to that target audience. Third, operators, equipping institutions to govern the network. And fourth, builders, equipping institutions, tech teams can ship compliant integrations. This is a talent infrastructure built along a digital infrastructure. Talent is not merely as important as infrastructure, in my humble opinion, it is more important. Consider this, a great tool that is poorly understood will have its potential easily wasted. But great talent can use even an average tool to its fullest. Our philosophy at EON Academy is simple. We do not train individuals in isolation. We build ecosystem capacity. That means MSMEs are trained to operate digitally, youth are trained to support MSMEs, financial institutions are connected, logistics marketplaces and service providers are integrated. Training is outcome-based, not attendance-based. It is structured around macro sale capability, not just isolated or discrete skills. Participants earn measurable digital capability badges tied to real economic outcomes, onboarding businesses, digitizing operations, enabling transactions. Skills must translate to productivity. Knowledge must be useful, competence must be relevant, and momentum must be maintained. To ensure structured progression, we implement a 4-tiered certification ladder. Each tier reflects increasing levels of responsibility and capability within the digital ecosystem. Tier 1, digital foundations. Moving to applied ecosystem skills and ecosystem leadership and advanced specialization and mentorship. Each level is tied to measurable outcomes, just not theoretical only. This creates upward mobility and mobility pathways for youth and professionals alike. It also gives industry confidence in the certification standards. Everyone knows what they are getting, what they are paying for, and what they are worth. Scale matters. Indonesia is vast, geographically and economically. EON Academy will operate through 514 learning hubs, 1 in every regency and city, coverage across all 38 provinces, This ensures no region is excluded from the digital economy. We combine hybrid learning models, mobile-first micro-learning for accessibility, local boot camps for practical application. And I think Mr. Koshi was telling me the other day, in India, they used huge hackathons. And, that's something that we should be considering and we will consider. This blended model ensures scale without sacrificing quality. Our infrastructure is layered. ION hubs operate at the city level as structured learning centers. ION points extend access to district level through campuses, co-working spaces, and community centers. This ensures accessibility even in smaller municipalities. Most importantly, top learners are placed in apprenticeships with ecosystem participants, such as banks, logistics companies, and digital platforms, and within the ION ecosystem as well. Training must connect to employment. This is how we close the loop between education and economic opportunity. At this point, I think it will be remiss of me to say something about IDA. When we started ASEAN Youth for Digital Action a few years ago, it was almost a pipe dream. But we came together with a lot of partners who made it real, and I think two of them are here. Orbit Future Academy, thank you. Innotech, thank you, because we need many of these partners in the ecosystem when we are looking at outcomes as training, as an outcome of a training. When all players connect on a shared open infrastructure, entirely new job categories emerge. Examples: digital onboarding specialists, MSME digitization consultants, ecosystem coordinators, data and transaction support roles, local digital ambassadors. Actually, we have one of them in Tutus here, Pat Tutus, local ambassador. This is not just about coding jobs. It is about enabling millions of ecosystem support roles that did not exist before. Actually, I want to add something to my rhetoric. We often talk about how many jobs will change in the next 10 years, 5 years, 2 years. We don't yet know what that future will look like. Really, we are all guessing, and we hope our mitigated, risk-averse decisions are right. But what we know is that it won't look like it does today. But we also know we cannot sit back and wait for it to happen so we have to get ready for it. ION Academy ensures Indonesian youth are the first line for these opportunities. We ensure that they are not just on a level playing field, but that they are leading that field, and that's super important. Because of all the things we don't know, what we can be absolutely sure of, it's that Indonesian youth are not the only ones looking for answers. Whole world is. Indonesia is an archipelago. You heard that several times today, thousands of islands. The digital economy must reflect that reality. ION Academy, powered by IDA, converts open digital infrastructure into real jobs, real businesses, real inclusion, real local empowerment, at scale, sustainably. It turns the infrastructure potential into successful reality, providing momentum and resilience, and all rooted in local communities. An open network backed by open skilling delivers true freedom of choice, where buyers choose, sellers compete fairly, and talent is not locked into platforms or intermediaries. Human capital is not a supporting factor, it is the backbone. It is the only ingredient we cannot do without. Indonesia stands at a pivotal moment. The foundations of digital infrastructure are being laid. The potential is being created. Now we must build the human capital backbone that will carry it forward. IDA and ION Academy are committed to this mission in partnering with government, industry, and communities Together, we can ensure that Indonesia's digital economy is inclusive, job-creating, and globally competitive. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Rani, for the wonderful insight. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in line with our team Innovate to integrate new tech for a new network, this panel discussion will explore how emerging technologies are shaping collaboration, connectivity, and the future of digital networks. May I invite the moderator, Mr. Nalin Singh, CEO Orbit Future Academy, to take the stage, and our panelists, Mr. Balaji Rajaraman, Director Moving Tech Namayatri, Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, Remigis APAC, Mr. Rafiz Sahai, Founder Sequestring. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause as our moderator and panelists take the stage.
Thank you. One of the defining moments of the day for me was when the minister spoke. He knew he was the last speaker before lunch. He was standing between us and lunch. And he regaled us with stories just to get our energy level up. Typical politician's instinct, and read the pulse of the room. I don't have an Inspector Vijay story. So you have to be patient with me as I stand between you and your evening drink. Morning, the whole room was pulsating with adrenaline and excitement. Don't miss the fact that the word adrenaline has my name Nalin in it. Okay? Now it looks like social distancing. Last time when Sachin did an IEF in the pandemic, this is how we used to sit. One table, then one table empty. One table, then one table empty. But very happy that you have stayed the course, stayed through the day. Very pleased to moderate this final session. Thank you to IEF, ION, and everybody who's participated today. We have a very distinguished panel from diverse set of companies. We have people with technology background. We have entrepreneurs who have done mass skilling, run technology companies. And we have a very interesting individual with a technology background who's actually doing open source kind of work. So without further ado, I'm going to ask each one of the panelists to introduce themselves and just speak a few lines about what is your connection to the open network. And then we will take it forward.
Sure. Thank you, Nalin. So my name is Balaji. I work at Moving Tech Innovations. We built one of the early adopters of the open network design, and we have built a mobility technology company, a suite of products built primarily on top of the ONDC layer back in India. So we are well known for our app Namayatri, and over the last 2.5 years, we've crossed around 130 million trips, where the drivers have cumulatively earned around $250 million without having to pay commissions. So we've been an early believer, and we think there is a platform world and there is a network world, and these are two different set of philosophies. And during the later course, I do have stories to tell, so maybe I can help, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, yeah. My connection with ONDC is because my ex-boss called me 5 years ago and said, Mr. Koshi, and said, come join and read some documents and tell me what they mean and what. I have spent a lot of time, I worked with the IETF and ISO on writing standards and technical documentation, so that was my main connection. Unfortunately, I'm neither an ONDC user, exactly, I have very little experience, but that's one of the pitches I make about the ONDC. is that no buyer or seller should ever need to know that the ONDC network exists. It's well insulated. It's a pure message passing protocol in softer terms. What you see is the front-end apps, which are not really maintained by ONDC itself.
Ravish?
Yeah, thank you, Nalin. Thank you, Sachin and entire team. So my name is Ravish Sahai. I represent a company called SQL String. Generally, you see people say that this is a digital born company. We feel proud saying that we are an ONDC born company. So our association with ONDC is in multiple field. We are a TSP, technology service provider. We are having buyer app and seller app. And we have ready to deploy buyer and seller app across all the category, be it finance, be it mobility, be it transit, be it logistic. Apart from this, we are also in India, if you see, today we are empowering almost all the metros in the country. So I just want to say one thing, Nalin, what we have done earlier, if you see, you can buy metro tickets only through those designated buyer app, like Paytm or few other app. Today, almost 15 buyer app can provide in each city. So in Mumbai, you have 3 metros. It means 45 buyer app. So now you can understand the magic and the flexibility which this ONDC ecosystem has provided. So this is the power of the ONDC part, I would say.
So before I pose any questions to the panel and take any from the audience, how many of you remember purchasing things pre-e-commerce? How many of you remember hiring a cab or a bike pre the ride-hailing wave? How many of you remember buying food or ordering food before the food delivery apps came? When each one of these came, one 20 years ago, one 15 years ago, one about 6, 7 years ago, as consumers, we were ecstatic. We were so excited. Here it's going to make things simpler, cheaper, transparent. For the sellers, they were also excited. I get greater market access. I will reduce costs. I will increase my business. But what has happened over the last 3 times that we have seen this wave? Basically, we've been let down. Each one of these sectors has given rise to monopolies that have created these walled gardens of Eden with private membership, where you have to pay to enter. And that is exactly what the open network seeks to level out, create a level field, and do all that was promised to us 20 years ago, and then later by all these waves of so-called improvement that we saw in the ride-hailing system and food delivery system. But Sanjeev, you were making an important point, and that is my first question to you. We've heard a lot about the open network today, okay? But it is something that is invisible, right? It's not meant to be something that people will see and people will get wowed with and go there and do something. Just elaborate a little bit on that and demystify it for us.
There's not really much to demystify or elaborate. That's the whole beauty of it. When you have a credit card, or when we started having payments, vendor payments at the retail level, BRI in Indonesia had an app called Brimo, right? And BCA had its own app, and everybody had their own apps, and they worked beautifully if the person you were buying gado-gado from had an account in the same bank as you, right? So what happened, retailers had to put up 8, 10 QR codes. If you're paying me with this bank, use this QR code. If you're paying me with this bank, use this QR code. And it works. And that is the situation today when we have platforms. You can buy on Tokopedia, you can buy on Shopee, you can buy on Lazada, and they all work well. This is not they're enemies of ONDC or we have to run them out of business. They all work well. But look at the number of times you need to book a flight ticket and then you're doing comparison shopping. You got 8 browser windows open and you're clicking madly back and forth. This is the inefficiency we have today. When Indonesia came up with the QRIS, this is single QR code. Behind the QR code, there is still your bank and the vendor's bank, right? And the two banks will figure out a way to talk to each other. But you don't need to know that. This is what ONDC is bringing to e-commerce, right? Can I have a show of hands? We've all used QRIS codes here? Yes? Who runs the QRIS system? Anyone? That is the beauty of an open protocol. If EON takes off, and I'm saying if, there's lots of things that have to be done right, and 3 years from now, we are proud to say this was the best idea ever, our families will never know what ONDC, or EON was. That's how invisible it will be, because that's the beauty of it. You don't need to know how QRIS works. You just know it works. And BCA and CIMB and Maybank will sort out. The buyer, in EON terms, the buyer apps and the seller apps will sort it out, and the users will not know that this was launched here. That is the beauty of an open network. There's no platform, there's no advertising, there's no IPO to go for, right?
That's very well put. I want to pose a question to Ravish. So as this gets rolled out in Indonesia, it is an opportunity for entrepreneurs to build systems, build apps, build processes, build businesses using the open network, like you have done successfully. How does one do that? I mean, what would you advise young entrepreneurs? How do they innovate? What do they do on this platform?
Actually, it's a very good question, Alan. And in the morning also, few of the keynote speakers, people say that your onboarding process has to be very, very seamless, number one. Number two, we are talking about primarily MSME. Now, I treat India and Indonesia almost similar in terms of the people behavior, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of value. So what we have experienced in India, that's the reason what Sachin says always, that India was first, but Indonesia will be the fastest. There is a reason, because whatever we have learned there, right? So we need to now make process of onboarding of the small and micro vendors in such a way that without any trouble they can be onboarded. Now let me give you an example. I always say that whenever you are building technology, your technology should be such that your grandfather should be able to use it. If he is not able to use it, there is no sense. Now we can build a beautiful platform, and if we go and ask a vendor to fill a form, he will not be able to fill a form, right? So we need to, so the way we have worked, even in the rural areas, we say you have to just speak, your details will be extracted, whatever document have, to create identity, just click picture of those, done. So we need to make these onboarding process such seamless that people should love to come on this. So in my view, I believe the opportunity is immense for any entrepreneur who want to do something. And it's a huge, huge opportunity. So
Thank you for that, Ravish. So Balaji, you've already done this, right? You've gone up against the big guys, right? Ubers, Olas, etc. in Bangalore, right? Now my Yatri is my traveler or my passenger. I am from Bangalore too, so I can relate to that. And here, from morning, we have discussed a lot about how will we achieve adoption. And Ravish spoke about, one is get the entrepreneurs and the sellers to have a very seamless onboarding process. But how do you achieve adoption with the consumer, finally? How did you do it?
Sure. Thanks, Nalin. I think I also want to touch upon your earlier point of offline to online, right? So because it's connected in a way. So there is, we call it like mobility technology is at an evolutionary cycle, and there is an inflection point, right? So we've spoken a lot about technology, so let's talk about people now, right? So yesterday, I landed in Jakarta and was picked up by one Mr. Dedi Saputra, right? So Dedi has been driving for 16 years now. So he's been part of the entire evolutionary cycle. Daddy started is born and brought up in Jakarta, is 46 years old now, has 2 kids, right? He started his career as a driver in the offline era, right? So he used to take his car, stand in ranks or taxi stands, wait for trips to come, right? He had a bit of agency and autonomy, right? But it was a very inefficient place, right? So his potential was not maximized. That was the 1.0, right? The 2.0 is a platform-based economy, right? The 2.0 has highs and 2.0 has lows. The platform-based economy, the problem is there was a copy-paste of a business model from elsewhere that was just translated into a lot of countries, right? So what does it mean? It was high on capital burn, also high on commission. It was low on agency and autonomy. It was also low on predictable earnings, right? So this has resulted in Dedi's world. This is this. Yesterday, for the trip from airport to here, I paid 200,000 IDR, right? Dedi made 127,000, right? That's the gap. That's a massive, massive gap, right? He didn't even know what is he going to make, right? And every day in the morning, he starts his journey by logging into 6 different apps, right? Some on mobility, some even does logistics, right? He's all in. So he has to get onboarded on A, B, C, D, E, because the platforms only talk to themselves and not in an open way, right? This is not scalable. This is not sustainable, right? 3.0, which is the open network design, is where the differentiation comes in, right? So in this world, Dedi doesn't have to onboard on 6 different apps. He just has to onboard on 1 app that is part of the Aeon network, right? And maybe not even, and that app also can be owned by maybe a driver community themselves, or it can be sponsored by the government, or it could be managed by a local entrepreneur, right? And because the network design offers its own sense of efficiency, right? They need not even have to pay a big commission. So what happened in Bangalore was the same problem. The drivers were paying a lot of commission and it was unsustainable, right? So they said, it's actually the drivers themselves came to us. We were a payments company. We're not in the mobility business. The drivers, 150 of them came and told us like, hey, we're tired of this, right? We want our own app. And that's why it's called Namma, which in Kannada means our. It's our app, it's a driver's app. And the driver, instead of paying a commission on the fare, like Dedi paid almost 35%, the driver paid 0 commission and instead paid a very small subscription fee. How did the scale happen? Because of the exceptional difference in earnings, the drivers onboarded themselves, right? So the cost of acquisition of drivers was almost 0 for us. And the drivers said, it's my app, I'm going to promote it. So the drivers themselves became the brand ambassadors, right? We didn't have to hire a movie star or whatnot, right? The drivers themselves became the brand ambassadors. Their vehicles became the mode of advertising. So it was a movement that got triggered, which is when the scale happens. That the 150 drivers coming to our office was November of 2022. Today, Bangalore does around 200,000 daily trips. And all these drivers put together have completed more than 130 million trips and earned cumulatively around $250 million. Right? So that's how transformation is.
Did you face any resistance or soft resistance from the big guys?
Yeah, so that's the second. The thing about the network design is that it's also an innovation playground, right? So what happened? Okay, 150 drivers came and told, I want an app for myself. And then they started promoting it. What all has happened since? One, all the incumbent players, Uber and Rapidos and the Olas of the world, everybody is a 0 commission app in India today, right? So it's just a bunch of folks who had enough will and agency, right, to say that, hey, this status quo is not working, right? And then there was an open network design tech available for them that was enough to make the switch. Uber today charges 0 commission in India, right? So that's the shift. What else happens? Indian states, 4 of Indian state governments, right, provisional government, they run their own mobility apps now, right, where the policy is made sure that the drivers are protected, the riders are protected from surge pricing and safety concerns. 4 state governments run it. And as we speak right now, right, in India, the government of India is launching probably the world's first cooperative-based ride-hailing service, right? It's powered by the driver cooperative called Bharat Taxi, where our tech powers it, right? So 150 drivers started something, and it has gone into like what it is now, right? So that's the power that the network provides, right? Because fundamentally, three things can happen. In the network, you can do things efficiently because you can just focus on what you do best, and the rest can be taken care of by network. You can do things effectively because you are working with other people who are doing things that they are good at. And third, which is my favorite part, is you can do things that have never been done before. Nobody thought a government of India will launch a cooperative app, right? No, yeah, that's the...
Actually, they are launching it today. Bharat Taxi is being launched today.
Right now, 3 p.m. IST is when the launch is happening.
Actually, the first question from the audience is for you, and it's very relevant. So you spoke about your experiences in India, and this morning the Proteon CEO said something about living experiences, which was about picking off from the Indian experiences. We are trying to be the fastest here, but India was the first. So what lessons do you think Indonesia can draw from what we have learned over there for your specific area?
Yeah, I think there is having a zero commission or an alternate business model is one thing, right? Where even India, we have not gone so much so far, but I think in Indonesia we can do is because Indonesia traditionally it seems to have this super app culture, right? Every app is doing multiple things. In India, that's not how it works. People position an app for something and they stick to it, right? And that actually makes it more exciting for an open network to exist, right? So let's go back to the hero of the story, right, Mr. Dedi, right? Dedi's driver app in India is only helping Dedi get access to trips, right? But in Indonesia, he can now start getting with Aeon, right? Dedi still doesn't own a car, by the way, even after driving 16 years, right? Dedi should be able to get financial services because he is a 4.9 star rated driver. He should get access to financial services faster because his reputation is on the network. He should be able to buy a car if possible. He should be able to buy spare parts. He should be able to buy anything and everything that his family requires all through his seller app because his reputation is locked into it, right? So the innovation is just begun, but it's miles and miles to go and promises to keep.
Well said, well said. The next question, Sanjeev, is actually for you, and it is very closely related to the topic of this panel. What types of innovation are better suited to open networks than to single platform ecosystems?
In short, it depends whether you want an IPO exit. If you want an IPO exit, you want a platform, you want a brand name, you need defensible IP. I'm not saying this in a negative way. If you want to go IPO, you need defensible IP. An open network has no IP. People in Cochin developed the beacon protocol and said, fine, we'll even help you make photocopies of it if you like. If you can't afford a photocopier, we'll get you one. That's how happy they were, right? Any protocol, and everything is a protocol, any protocol where we are looking at it being a zero-sum game has to be kept in control because the resources that can be extracted are finite. And what is not in my pocket will be in your pocket. So it's important it stay in my pocket. Now, it's not always, I might be a nice guy and let you share, but the resources are finite. If, however, we believe that resources are not finite, the pie will grow, then we do not really need to consider the protocol as a zero-sum game, as a division of assets. It enables us to innovate faster. The bad part is that because many people we no longer have skin in the game, many open source protocols stagnate, ossify, right? In 5 years' time, you'll move on to doing something else. Whereas a proprietary protocol, somebody's next yacht is on the line. Jeff Bezos needs a bigger yacht, right? So he will stay interested. So if you're asking which one, the most important part is, are you looking for a new yacht or are you not looking for a new yacht? I'm not saying you will get a new yacht, but are you looking for one?
Actually, that plays very well into the next question that's come for you, Ravish. So R&D is one thing. It's costly, expensive. I mean, takes time, hit and miss. 9 out of 10 products never reach the market. Innovation is slightly easier from a market perspective. But the question here from the audience is that how do open digital networks change the economics of scaling innovation compared to closed platforms? So innovation is okay, but how do you scale, and does open network facilitate that?
Yeah, so what Balaji said today as we speak in India, this taxi ride, Bharat Taxi is getting launched. Now, understand one thing, when you have people all across who are adopting, they themselves become ambassador, right? Then you do not need, now, why do we need to go with a branded thing? Because something is given that there is a standard, there is a quality, hence we go there. Suppose if that thing is available, I'm saying a network like ONDC or ION, each standard is written there. Then you can trust anyone who is there. Now, the moment you can trust anyone who is there, he himself will go and speak about this. Now, that's how this, so what I always say, ONDC or ION initiative is a mass initiative. It's not governed by one. Now, the example what Balaji has said. Now, if you see the drivers in Bangalore, they are talking about it's my app, right? They themselves are doing. Similarly, if you go in India, now people talk that, look, this is my. Earlier, I did not have any leeway or any way to go in that market. Now, today I have, so I go and stand, I say, look, I have used it. Why don't you also use it? So in my view, as I said, one, you have to make it very, very easy to onboard. Second, you should also make arrangements. Suppose if there's a problem, whom I can reach to. That's how you build trust. Now you know that it is supported by this ecosystem. Automatically it will go up. That's what I have seen.
Very true. And the other theme along trust that we heard is because of the open network, it requires people to buy into that, trust the system, and it needs to remain steadily fair. All the things that e-commerce, etc., promised us, but they switched, right? So coming to that, MSMEs themselves are a sector with whatever they contribute. Every country has the same story. They contribute so much, they employ so much, they are the engine of growth, but they also get neglected the most. So when you implement something like this, what support do we need from the government for it to actually take off and become a sustainable habit? Anybody who wants to take that question. What would the Indonesian government need to do to make it a sustainable habit that is ingrained as a lifestyle choice rather than something that's a one-off initiative?
What do you wish to make an ingrained habit? MSMEs participating in e-commerce or MSMEs participating on EON?
MSMEs coming onto an open network like EON and using it. So there's the trust angle, etc.
Yeah.
But it does need government push. It does need an institutional push. What kind of push do you think would be required?
I'm not sure that we need a push. As he was saying, if it works for me, it works for me. And if it doesn't work for me, the push will constrain my choices. I will still be unhappy. And Koshi and I discussed this a lot many years ago, if the network is in the business of picking winners and losers, for whatever reason, let us give a 3% lower price to women-owned business. Anything you do distorts the market, in my view. It leaves people unhappy, and that breaks the trust issue. Transparency is important. If at the end of 5 years, and I'm taking a very contrary view, Tokopedia can deliver better results to MSMEs than EON can, Tokopedia deserves that victory. Right? So it comes back to trust and transparency and delivering a measurable, not treating your customers as idiots. If we are delivering something nice to them, we just need to remind them once in a while. We don't need to get a brand ambassador. We don't need to charge. See, look at it this way. People keep saying Amazon charges 30%. right? And Shopee charges 24%. If Shopee charges 24%, why are we not buying Shopee shares and retiring? Because Shopee is spending 23.5% of that as well. There's a value that they deliver that Eon will never deliver. But that doesn't have, we are not competitors. So if the government wishes to offer, I would say, this is an alternative. If it works for you, we encourage you. And if it doesn't work for you, it's fine. We are not banning Amazon from Indonesia, right?
So I'll pick that commercial angle, business angle, and pose the question to Balaji and Ravish. So you start on an open network, you set up a business. Businesses need sustainability, they need profits, etc. How do you balance that constant need of scaling up and growing and having profitability for sustainability, maybe even an IPO, like we were discussing some time ago? How do you balance that off in an open network?
So I think from a business model standpoint, since, like I said, you can focus on what you're good at and only do that and leave the rest to be solved by the network. There are business models that can be built, right? And profitable business models can also be built, right? So for us, we charge a subscription fee from the driver, right? And the driver is our customer in a way. So we are working all our tech products, optimization, and all sorts of productivity increases going towards how do I make the life of the driver better. The minute we start thinking only on the driver, we are able to derive value for he pays like 25 rupees to us every day. And even there is margin to be made, right? What this enables also is like a lot more driver to participate in this, right? There was a big chunk of drivers who never got into the online market itself because the unit economics never worked for them. Now the pie has increased and hence there is a pathway towards it. On the other side, there are things like public transportation, which were largely undigitized, now getting digitized, right? Avish and team are doing some phenomenal work there. So on the customer side as well, once you have a customer base, there is so much more to give them, right? Without having to spend a lot on bespoke integrations. So profitable business models are extremely, actually easier to build on an open network because of the structure that it allows us to be.
So that's good. He's in a business where, it's a need, not a want. Everybody needs transportation. In Bangalore, definitely. You may not be sure if you'll reach, but definitely you need somebody to pick you up. But Ravish, you are in a different segment, right? You are in a completely different segment. You have equally successfully built a scalable business. How does that work in your segment? Is it possible to balance it off? Scale, growth, profitability, while staying on an open network?
I would say staying on open network has played extremely, extremely important role. Now, I'll give you a live example. In India, each city has a metro. Generally, metro has one AFCS, which is automated freight collection system. But in Mumbai, I don't know for what reason, they have 3 different AFCS. And the beauty of that, they don't talk to each other. So if you want to travel from A to C, you have to buy 3 tickets. Now, I don't know who has designed this, right? Now, because of the open network which ONDC has provided, we were the first to launch connecting journey from A to C. Now, the extension of that, what we are doing or what we are saying, one nation, one journey, one QR. Now, what we are doing? So, we have already connected metros. Now, we are connecting even experiences like any monuments. And we are connecting home to experiences. From your home, you are starting, be it taxi, be it auto, be it, say, your metro or your, any monuments. You will get one QR, you are done. So, I can understand, yes, you will not earn any money in, say, metro, but there are other ways where you can earn money. So, you have to have that longer vision, how you can monetize, because once you give that service to consumer who is using, say, your metro ticket, he is the consumer who will consume other services as well. So the network effect, that's where it is going to be very, very useful, and that's how one can balance it out.
Do you also have that other streams of revenue?
Yeah, I think that's where the philosophical difference between a platform and network comes itself, right? Platform thought process is very like, hey, let's scale what works, right? Like, hey, 500 cars is working, let's scale it to 5,000 cars, right? Let's go to 50,000 cars. The network design offers a different perspective, right? Let's build what works for scale. Right? These are two different philosophies, right? It's instead of just scaling what works, let's build what works at scale. Like now we have a challenge to move 1 billion people, right? Cars, bikes, and autos are not going to do it, right? Public transportation is important. Now, one of the things that will happen in India, which I'm pretty sure any network design should happen, is in India, there were like 18 metro organizations, each talking their own language, right? So if you want apps to start selling, let's say 10 apps, that's like 180 integrations that need to happen with its own cost structure and all. Now all the public transportation bodies talk the same language, which is the network language. Suddenly everything gets accessible, right? An auto or a taxi app in city 1 is talking the same language as a taxi app in city 5, right? Now the taxis are more accessible, right? So one of the other common things, which I don't think so we touched upon, is both India and Indonesia, I think we share this problem, right? We are young, ambitious countries, but our people are stuck in traffic everywhere, right? So the network design probably is the only design that can solve for this, right? In a way that is where it is sustainable and all stakeholders are happy. So we have to move people from a loss quadrant, right? Where the drivers are not happy, the customers are not happy, the government is not happy, into a win-win-win or a potential win-win-win. Where the drivers are happy that they're making more money, the customers are happy because they have reliable, safe transportation, the government is happy because the entire traffic problem is solved and there's a higher level of productivity that could be unlocked. So there's a larger story at play as well.
Very true. Young, ambitious, and what is the third one?
People are stuck, right?
Stuck.
So,
Okay. The difference maybe we are more restless at that side than people are here. But I would like to open it up for questions from the audience. Take a few questions. Yes, sir? Can somebody get a mic to the gentleman here?
All right. Firstly, I think let me compliment Namayatri. I hail from Bangalore, and when I saw a few autos with an exclusive logo of Namayatri, I did not know what it was and why they had to keep that logo when there is no logo for Uber or Ola, etc. So now I understand that there might be one of those 150 drivers. So
now there are almost 200,000 drivers who all have that, right? And there's no incentive that we provide like for them to put it upon. They're putting it upon because they think it's their app.
Fantastic.
It actually is their app in a way.
Yeah.
We're just the background, right? Building technology and stuff.
So I think the sense of ownership is phenomenal. I think that's the beauty about that particular thing. I think thanks for being the game changer in that space.
Thank you.
The second thing I wanted to ask a slightly different question, probably it could matter to any one of you. From a consumer standpoint, I mean, we just saw the ONDC web app and they have a choice to go to Ola and order, or they have a choice to go to Namayatri and order. How do you think this would be how do I put it? From your standpoint, the consumer has got a choice. Now he can either choose a Ola, he can choose. I mean, earlier also you had an auto driver having Uber and Ola and Rapido and etc. So here also you have the cab drivers having Bluebird, having Grab, Gojek, etc. But if someone has to make a change, like for example, if you want to innovate, and that should be, how do you do that on ONDC today? Is it something that you take the ONDC team also in confidence and try to, because there might be a lot of protocols and things that are that have to be also probably would probably undergo a change on the platform, on the main platform.
Yeah.
So I think what he's asking is a larger question of if entrepreneurs want to get onto the platform, what kind of technological support or knowledge they need.
So ONDC or even EON, right? It will not be a central intermediary, right? The specifications for every particular category was built by the community. There is no one person who's like, hey, these are the API specs, go. No. We actually had a bunch of people coming together who are all part of the industry, and together define the specifications. Right? The grammar of the language was built by the people who are the practitioners and not one entity per se. Right? So we all knew what would be the API construct, right? What would be the requirements to be made. And so that, like you said, why should customers flip here? There cannot be any deficiency in terms of product, right? Or the experience. If Uber is able to provide this experience and the network is not able to, or any players on the network is not able to, then there is no merit in us trying to win. So there's zero compromise on product, right? Zero compromise on features available, right? And because of maybe the cost structure advantage that is there, right, and the value that is being accrued is passed on to the side, we were able to establish a status quo where the customers paid less and the drivers earned more, right, while having the customer experience in pretty much the same way, like how it was in the platform. And that was the reason customers flipped. Otherwise, customer would never come out of an existing status quo, right? So there was a 25% commission structure that existed, right? When we reduced that to, less than 2%, or it's a subscription fee, so it's exponential reduction, there is a probability for me to do a business where the customers can actually pay less because some value can be given to the customer, some value can be given to the driver, so the entire value chain becomes richer.
So Ravish, can you take the second part of this question? That if somebody is launching a business, etc., do you need to now consult with an IT team from both sides?
No, so that's the point I want to address. Now I'll give you live example in ONDC. ONDC was not in agri-tech, they did not have assaying services, right? Now somebody has approached us, they say we want to have assaying also as a part of ecosystem. We approached to ONDC, then ONDC built along with us. So whenever you are having any new category which you want to bring on ONDC, definitely it cannot be just one case, right? There has to be some, say, mass adaptability. You approach to them, they say, fine, I will develop this with you. Now I'll give you a second example. I was working with Maruti, now I can take name. Now they wanted to have parking system on the ONDC, right? But at that point of time, parking was not part of ONDC ecosystem. They told us, we took this case to ONDC and then we started working. So what I'm saying, if there is any opportunity which is having a good, sizable, addressable market, if it is not there on open network, you reach out to any open network like ION or an ONDC in India, and in my experience, they definitely entertain that. And they help you to bring that particular ecosystem on the network. So it's there.
Just one, beg your pardon, just one related question to that. I mean, adding to that. So how does the companies protect the IP? Now, for example, if I need to innovate and I bring in an idea or probably a kind of a thought which could benefit a larger group of people who are there on ONDC, and I approach ONDC. ONDC says, yes, it is a great thing. Let's kind of implement this out. So how do you make sure that the idea is protected, or is it something that needs a separate discussion or something like that? I mean,
can I take that?
No, please.
This is a network. If you have an idea to sell a new widget very profitably, but to protect it, let us not allow anybody else to sell or buy or talk about it, how far does your idea go? The value is not in the product. That's what I say. We have to look at it from it's different. The value of you having a new widget or a new style of service exists only if he can grow the market. So the reason why I'm sharing my idea with him is not because I like him, but because I say I can sell one copy of it to myself, or I can sell 20% of the total million copies, but other people will sell the other 80%. It's a network. If we are all farmers and if you're all producers and no consumers, we're not really producers. There's a story in the morning about the two brothers buying and selling to each other. Very defensible IP. No other person was allowed to participate in that market as they sold desserts to each other. How far does that get you? So there's much of what, when we talk about IP, and I mentioned that it's a defensible IP, it is a way of telling an investor that I'm smarter than a competitor. But if I don't need to tell that, if he doesn't need to impress an investor, only himself, fine, take his idea.
Just to add what he said, it's like whether you want 100% of this or you want 10% of this. So the entire game is there. And if you see the spirit of this open network, so that your idea, what you have brought in, so suppose if you're a seller, now just if you are a seller, right? If you bring in an idea, you would not like that idea to be consigned. So that is the beauty of this entire open network is.
Thank you for that
Thank you, sir.
question. We have, I think Koshi wants to make a point.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I just want to add,
A little more clarity and I may launch a business tonight.
I thought I'll bring a clarification on the point that he raised, complementing what all my fellow friends have commented. One is, as you very correctly, Asanji pointed out, the natural tendency is to protect everything. And as Ravi said, can we make it bigger and have a bigger pie? Yes. Percentage might be smaller, it could be larger. That is a basic spirit. But that doesn't mean that we are expecting everything we do cookie cutter. Keep that in mind. It is not copy paste and cookie cutter. What the protocol tells you is, let's say in a domain, like whether it is mobility or whether it is electronics, what are the essential information that need to be shared from the seller to the buyer? Minimum information. That has made it mandatory as a protocol. Does it mean that the seller cannot give anything more? Of course he can give anything more. That also provides for it. Now on the buyer side, the buyer may decide to curate what he gets in different fashion to make it attractive. For example, some buyer application may say that I am focusing on the village farmers. The kind of products that he will show and the kind of way it will be shown and the language that he speaks, the example that he speaks could be very, very different. So the only thing that we say is you should not discriminate, but you can differentiate. Okay, so it is not that every app will look the same, then it's a question of just a price. No, there will be innovation. So in fact, I would rather expect both on the buy side and the sell side to have humongous amount of innovation. The way Ravish will show, the way he explained to you how he married multiple experiences together. From auto to a cab to one ticket, one cart. To probably tomorrow I'll say you're going for a long tour, I'll help you the air ticket. You need a tag, you need a suitcase, you need a loan. I mean, these kind of things. Probably he will, since I am his regular customer, he will also use some AI to help me buy what is relevant. Remember earlier what I told, in a platform when your loyalty is not clear, you are trying to drug the buyer. Now a buyer application is trying to he becomes buyer's agent. When he becomes a buyer's agent, he will try to make his buying experience better and better. So all those innovations are possible in the end side, both on the buy side and sell. So it is not that everything will look the same. So that is the only addition I want to just give.
Thank you for the clarification, Koshi. Your question was very good. I must compliment you. We got thousands of dollars worth of free consulting. There's a question from here. You can take the mic to the gentleman on
I
my
have
right.
the mic.
He has a mic.
So this is the next $1,000 free consulting. So when you want to launch a new category or new use case on Eon, Balaji said the community comes together and creates a new protocol. What is a protocol, for those of you who are not aware, is a set of messages that go back and forth between the seller platform, a seller participant and the buyer participant. So you need to define what those messages mean, and that's what a protocol is. The community comes together. From our experience in ONDC, there is a newer version of all these that are defined for most of these use cases. that we will leverage in EON. So there is an existing set of what does a ride-hailing protocol look like. It's already there, and that will now have to be taken, and the Indonesia local context has to be built into that. So there is some additional stuff in the protocol that needs to be built, but there is a lot of learning that comes. So there is a base version that's available, and the community of ride-hailing participants will come together with EON being the coordinator to establish that protocol.
Thank you for that. Any other last question? We have time for one more question. Anybody? Okay, we'll wrap up this.
So Nalin,
you have
let
a
me
point?
ask one
Sure.
question from you. Now you have been asking questions. Now let me ask one question from you. How do you see this in your business where you are skilling people? This open network can be useful or can be leveraged by the white collar, the gray collar, and the blue collar.
So one of the last bastions that has not got disrupted and is still living in Industry 3.0 is the university education system. Now small noises are being made to push people into the classroom in the name of skilling because governments don't want them on the street. They don't want Gen Z protesters on the street. But what they are not solving is the last mile, which is outcome. Unless you can place somebody into a job, don't skill them. Because if they are not educated and not skilled, they have somehow come to terms with their reality. I'm not as educated, I'm not skilled, so I don't have a job. They are quiet. Now you skill them and they still don't have a job, they are going to get violent. They're going to get angry. So unless we solve the last mile, so if we can put an open network for recruitment, why does it have to be that every company is hiring freshers? Freshers look the same, are the same demography, have the same marks, which only tell you what is their memory power, doesn't tell you the skill level. But if there was a grading system nationally and there was a national pool on an open network where people could hire based on skill, we could disrupt that market. And people would stop going to university for useless degrees. Knowledge for the sake of knowledge, research, etc., it's okay. But knowledge for just getting a degree, paying, when people pay a high value for just a degree, there's an unspoken contract that you'll get me a job at the end of it. But it's not happening. Even the placement rate at the top engineering institutes of India is actually lower than 40%. And those people get thrown out within 3 months because they have the arrogance of the I in front of it, right? So there is a lot of room for disruption there. I hope it happens. I'll speak to Koshi. If we can make it happen, we'll do it. No problem. So thank you very much. It was a very, very fun and engaging conversation with all my co-panelists here. We'll wind up today. Last point. Throughout the day, we heard what a momentous day 5th February 2026 is. It pleased me no end because it's my birthday today. Remember every year, 5th February? And call me and wish me. Thank you very much. With that, I'll hand it back to the MC.
Thank you. What an outstanding panel session. One more big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. At this moment, I would like to invite Mr. Sachin Gopalan to kindly present the token of appreciation to our distinguished panelists and moderator. Start from Mr. Balaji Rajaraman, Director, Moving Tech, Namayatri. Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, Remigis EPEC. Mr. Ravis Sahai Pandar, Sequestring, and Mr. Nalin Singh, CEO Orbit Future Academy. Okay, we also request all cameraman and photographer to capture this special moment. Okay, once more, if Mrs. Rani, Dr. Rani. kindly ask all our distinguished guests to return to their seat. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the end of today's program. Before we conclude, invite all participants to register for the business matching session, which will be held tomorrow, February 6th, still at the Emerald Room, Art Hotel Mangkuluhur, Jakarta, from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. You may register for the session by scanning the QR code or accessing the registration link displayed on the screen. We look forward to your participation. We would like to express our sincere thanks to our generous partners of today's event, Google, Protein, Kairos, and Pitch. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we draw today's conference to a close, we would like to convey our deepest appreciation for our distinguished presence and active engagement throughout this session. We look forward to welcoming you once again at the upcoming Indonesia Economic Forum, IEF and Indonesia Open Network ION event, where we will continue to foster meaningful dialogue and collaboration. I am Prisa Sambodato signing out. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.